with any kind of blockage that you may have that is specific to you in your life. This is like having the enemy within, and you have to make sure that you are not sabotaging yourself for the long term. So now, let's move on. What are the events that brought you here? I asked you, one of those questions was, what are the events that brought you here? And my point on that question was just to tell you, to remind you that it's time to make the peace with that. That regardless of what happened in the past, as long as you keep on going back to it time and again, not only you are punishing yourself for something that may or may not be your fault, but you are staying stuck in the place where you are. Because a lot of your mental resources are going back to whatever happened. You are living in the past, as we were saying before. And it's very important that you give yourself permission to move on. If you have to forgive yourself, start to do it. Start to consider it. If you know that you hurt someone, go and apologize. It's never too late. And it will be very positive and very good for you. If others have hurt you, allow yourself to begin to forgive them. Allow yourself, even if you don't become their best friends, of course not, of course you won't. People may have hurt you in horrible ways. I'm not telling you to become their best friends, but I'm telling you that forgiveness will help you to move on. And in the end of the day, that's what you're here, that's why you're watching this, because you want to move on. And forgiveness is a very important part of that process. As long as you are thinking about these things, as long as you are suffering in the pain that others brought to your life, as long as you keep yourself stuck in there, you can't move forward. So allow yourself to begin to think about these people in a more positive and constructive way. Allow yourself for an instant, for a moment, for the idea to enter your consciousness that yes, maybe you can forgive these people. Maybe you can let it go already. Because in many cases, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's an ex-partner, maybe it's your boss, maybe whoever hurt you. Whatever happened, happened. It's happened, it's done. You can't escape from it, but there's no reason for you to live it every day, over and over again. There are fantastic books out there. You can see a therapist, you can do different things to learn to forgive others, to move on. But my point is, remember this, remember to do it. Because if you can't forgive, you will not be able to be as happy as you can possibly be. Now, finally, allow yourself to think, to visualize yourself forgiving these people. Allow yourself to visualize yourself. It's one of the exercises that we do in therapy that helps clients immensely. Allow yourself to imagine that you're having a conversation with these people that hurt you. And imagine that they're listening to what you have to say in silence. And so imagine that you are telling them all what you always kept within you, all what you know, what you've always felt that they should hear. And do that exercise, it will help you. You see, the subconscious mind understands as reality anything that is real and perceived, anything that is dreamt, or, and this is the most important point for the purposes of therapy and healing, anything that is imagined vividly enough and often enough. So if you imagine in your mind that you're having a meeting with these people who hurt you, if you imagine that you're being really hard with them and saying time and again all the things that you have to say, even if you're angry, even if they're things that reflect your anger, it will help you. Over time it will make the anger subside and you will begin to feel better. So consider doing that. Remember this concept the subconscious mind will understand as real anything that is real and perceived by any of your senses, anything that you dreamt, and anything that is imagined. You see, one of the reasons why dreams don't make us crazy is because usually we dream them once. But for the subconscious mind, and this is the point, you see so many dreams feel so real, the subconscious mind will definitely be influenced just by dreams if they would be repeating all the time. So think about that. Now, another important thing that I want to mention to you is to develop the ability to cry. You see, in this society we are pushed to be strong. We are pushed to always be there, particularly males. It happens a lot for males. I see it in my clients. It comes instinctively and naturally easier, and society approves a lot more of women crying. And my advice for men is, don't cry in front of other people, particularly women, because normally we all have our instinctive, very powerful drives and biases inside due to evolutionary reasons, okay? And we can't do anything about them. So as men in society in general, we are expected to be strong, and we are not only expected to be strong because society tells us to, but because instinctively, naturally, we have always been in some way the leader of the pack. Even if things have changed now and we are not as necessary, or we don't have to be as strong as we can be, or women don't need us anymore, or children can do without us, that is a sociological phenomena. That is another point, another subject. But the thing is that for hundreds of thousands of years we have always been the leaders. So there is something that produces a cognitive dissonance there when we see men in a position of weakness and we see them suffering. So my point is, do not cry in front of others if you are a man, but consider learning to cry. Consider letting go of your emotions from time to time. You do it in private, you do it with others, it's up to you. But make sure that you develop this ability to let go, and let go of all that nervous pressure and tension that has been building inside of you. In general, women know very well that after a cry they feel much better, but we men, we rarely have that opportunity. We are taught from our childhood that crying is a big no-no for us. Big boys don't cry, they say, and we internalize that. And then the problem with that is that we block any kind of pain that will make us cry, and we lose the ability to cry in a way. It's like something, it's like we learn to, or we knew instinctively to do something, and then we lose the ability, and now we have to practice it progressively. We have to pick up that skill again. It's not only that it doesn't come so natural to us, but every time we expressed it in the past, someone was telling us, it's wrong to do that, you shouldn't do that, you're a boy, you shouldn't cry, why are you crying, come on, get up, go. You see, sometimes life is really hard. It may be the economy, it may be relationships, it may be the death of a loved one. There are reasons to cry, there are reasons to mourn, and that's okay. And if you learn to cry and to let the feelings come out, you yourself will come out on the other end much better. Now, if it's difficult for you to cry, you can use sad movies or videos to make you cry. It sounds like a silly little thing, but it certainly helps. There are a lot of media there that is pretty sad for one reason or another. So if in my life I felt that I needed to cry for whatever reason, if the pressure got so much that I knew that it would help me, but I couldn't do it because the pressure not to do it has been so strong that I knew that physically I couldn't do it. It's a strange feeling that many other men may have felt, but many women may not be familiar with. It's a very strange feeling when you cannot physically cry, but you know that you have more than enough reasons to do it. And one of the tricks that I tried to do in the very few times in my life that I felt so down as to cry was to bring myself down even more with sad things, watching something sad, so that that will help me to just go completely to the bottom of my sadness, so that I could move on and get out of there. You see, there's nothing particularly wrong when you feel at these times. Of course, if you knew me personally, you will know that I take pride on being a strong man or feeling like one, and I hope that instinctively that's how I am. It's not something that comes artificial out of me. It's who I naturally am. But it's important for all of us to know and to remember that we are human, and sometimes life is just so hard that it's normal to let go. So learn to cry will be helpful to you. Now, some tips about dealing with anxiety in general, because if you are constantly in a state of anxiety, it will be more difficult for you to relax enough, number one, to sleep well, and number two, to be able to get out of the depression. If you're constantly tense, your mind is constantly looking for potential dangers here, there, or is very busy, occupied with what you perceive as a threat from your environment. If you're a teenage person, the threat to your environment may be that other people don't like you, or that you feel that other people don't like you. If you are a grown person, a professional, you may feel tension because you feel that you can lose your job any day now. The fact is that you have to do as much as you can, anything you can, to reduce the levels of everyday anxiety if you want to get out of depression, because the combination between depression and anxiety will keep you there and bring you down in a spiral that will be very difficult to get out of. So managing your anxiety in the short term is very important. Some things that can help you with this is meditation. Number one, we talked about it earlier. Do your research. Meditation is really good to manage your stress and anxiety in the short term. Journaling will also help you. Putting things down on paper, reflecting about your day, pouring your feelings out of you, expressing yourself, giving yourself permission to do that in itself is relaxing and is positive. Get out and go to nature. This will also help you. Contact with nature will naturally help you to reduce stress and anxiety. Do more of this. It will help you. Pets will also help you. To look at a cat, to look at a dog and see how different the world is will also help you. Do anything you can to reduce stress and anxiety. And to do this, being in contact with the natural world is particularly effective and useful, because it brings us back to our center as natural beings, connected with everything else around us. And finally, the most powerful thing is breathing deeply. We're going to be talking a little bit more about breathing and the importance of breathing later, but make sure that you learn to breathe from your stomach in a relaxed way, in a good position, so that you know that you can just let go of whatever tension you're feeling in that moment. Next, what do we have? Okay, affirmations. Some people believe in affirmations, some people don't, but the important thing is that remember, anything that you want to bring to the subconscious level of the mind, yes, which is this one here, much bigger and more important than the conscious level of the mind, you have to do it in two ways. This is one, hypnotherapy, hypnosis. We come from the outside world, we bypass the critical factor, and through techniques of relaxation and concentration, we go straight to work with the subconscious mind. From there, we can change negatives into positives at the subconscious level. We can extract information that you didn't even know that is there to help you feel better, or we can eliminate the pain or the negative feelings associated with any event that you have gone through in your past. So that is one possibility to influence the subconscious mind, one way to do it, one of the best ones perhaps, one of the fastest ones. But if you don't have access to a good hypnotherapist, for example, the best thing that you can do is to use the techniques that will allow you to do this, to reach the subconscious mind without the help of another person. And this is by remembering that the subconscious mind absorbs things through repetition and association. Okay? So what you need to do if you want to internalize a new habit or to dispel a very strongly held belief, to let it go, to neutralize any negative power that that belief may be having on you, is to repeat a certain idea time and again. And I'll give you some pointers on that. Number one, write down your affirmations in the present tense in a short form, so make sure that the sentence is short, and use handwriting, use the longhand, and this is very interesting because they say that this way of writing connects directly with our subconscious mind, because that's the way in which we learn to write when we were kids, when we were children. So use longhand as you write your affirmations. Make them short, to the point, express in a positive tense, in a positive manner, and in present tense. Okay? And the best time to use your affirmations, to write them down and repeat them, is in the last 2 hours before you go to sleep, because at this time you are particularly suggestible. You are in a hyper suggestible state of mind. So present tense, positive, short, to the point. Repeat them 3 times. You can write them 3 times and say them out loud once each. Yeah, in longhand and in the last 2 hours before you go to sleep. Affirmations will help you. Do your research if you believe in those things. I definitely think that it will help you, so do it. Now, another thing that will help you to feel better, to get out of depression faster. You see, remember the concept that I explained you. Your subconscious mind has brought you into the state of depression in a way. Okay? In most cases, your subconscious mind has pushed you there in order for you to shut yourself down to the world, so that you will have the time and the ability to process at the subconscious level all the negativity that you've been absorbing. So what you need is time. And the thing is that if you want to get rid of depression naturally, that is the best thing that you can do. Just have time in which you sleep well, you eat well, and you exercise. Remember, once again, let's talk about the triangle of the basic things that you have to concentrate in order to get out of depression. Diet, exercise, and sleep. Remember to go back to the basics, to always think in terms of the triangle of health there, because this is the solution to depression. When you concentrate on this and you make these 3 better, you will naturally start to have more energy to feel better and better every day. But the thing is that if you do this naturally, if you have the opportunity to do this naturally, for whatever reason your mind got to a point where you had to stop working, or you had to go back to your parents' place to have some quiet time because you couldn't cope with things anymore or whatever, this is what you need to do. And what will you do with all that time that you need to give to your subconscious mind in order to help you heal? Well, one of the best things that you can do is very simple, and I will tell it to you. I'll say it in 3 words. Read more books. This will definitely help you. Books are like windows to other worlds, and reading more books will do several things for you. Number one, it will distract you while the subconscious mind has the time over the days, weeks or months to do its job in the background of your mind. Number two, it will give you life insights. It will teach you things. It will help you to think about things in a different way or to pick up a new skill. It will expand your horizons. It will give you a new perspective on life. Maybe it will even give you new ideas on what you can do with your life, on which direction to go after you get out of this depression. Yes? And finally, because of this perspective that reading gives you, it's very likely that it can help you to learn things that will remind you that there are reasons to live for, that is worth living. You don't know what you will read. I strongly recommend you, when you're not feeling at your best, to read mainly fiction, if you can. Go and read those books that you never had time to read before. Yes, these are good for you, number one, to distract you, and number two, to think about completely different things to what you usually think about. But if for whatever reason you are more technically oriented, and that is what will bring you happiness or what will make you feel a little bit better, read technical books, read language books, read anything you want, but books are good and they're very different also. Don't think that I recorded this so many years ago that there were no computers around. We are all surrounded by computers all the time, but the short term, the short articles that we are used to reading today is not the same as reading a book. I forgot one of the benefits of reading books. It will develop your imagination and your concentration as well. And these are things that we sorely need in this society, because we are so used to instant gratification and to little excerpts of information. I don't even know how to say that word. That it will be very, very useful for you to practice that ability of sticking to a book and going to the end with it. So, read more books will also help you. A summary of the last few slides now. Events that brought you here, think about them, get perspective out of that exercise as well. Remember that life can change, it won't always be like this. 2, learn to cry, particularly if you're a male. Give yourself permission to do it. If you do it in private, that's perfectly okay. In public, maybe a little bit more tricky, may not help you. Your wife may think that you're weak. You see, nothing to do with her, nothing to do with you. It's just the way that we are wired by hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. Okay? But if you can, learn to cry, because it's a very good way to release nervous tension, and you really need that when you're down, when you're stressed, when you're nervous. Okay? Number 4, affirmations, very, very important. Number 3, make sure that, I'm going back now, make sure that you deal with anxiety in the short term in any way you can, so that you manage anxiety, you manage stress, and that will help you to be in a quiet state of mind so that you can allow your mind to do the job that it needs to do in the background. Yeah. And number 5, read more books. They will definitely help you, so do more of that. Let's move on now. Another thing that I can tell you to research more about, to learn more about, is sound and music therapy. You see, the way that music interacts with our brains can be extremely pleasurable. And this is something that we tend to forget when we are down, when we are depressed. You see, I'll ask you a question. When was the last time that you listened to something purely for the pleasure of it? Yes? When was the last time that you went back and made a conscious effort to look for music that will be uplifting? Music that will make you feel happier or more relaxed, or to be in a better mood. If you're down, if you've been depressed for a few months, you may feel that you may remember that, yeah, it's true, I got a point. You haven't done this for a long time. Well, do it. It will help you. There's a lot of music out there, and you may remember your favorite artists. Just go back to that music, because most probably, and this is the important thing, this is my point, most probably that music that you used to like before is powerfully associated in your brain with the feeling of pleasure. And anything that can bring you back to feelings of pleasure, like watching the cartoons that we used to watch when we were children, will help you to feel better. The more pleasure you give to your brain, the more pleasure you give to your mind, the better you will feel sooner. So make sure that you do that as well. Some particular pieces of music have even been proven to make us feel better. I think that I was reading some time ago some research that was saying that classical music from Mozart is particularly good when you are feeling, when you're not feeling at your best. I can't remember if it was Mozart or not, but do your research, look for information on music that lifts your mood, and you may have plenty, you may find plenty there. There are some websites that are specifically designed around music, around clips, around songs that anyone can download and things like that. That may also help you there. Another thing that is associated with music is do it yourself. You see? Learning to play an instrument can be great for a number of reasons. Number one, it develops your concentration. Number two, like books that we talked about before, it helps you to distract yourself as you develop this new ability. Number three, it will increase your self-esteem it will improve your self-esteem, as you develop this sense of being able to do something that you couldn't do before. And when you are feeling down and depressed, there's nothing better than to reinforce your self-esteem. You really need it. The two are strongly connected. And it will also help you to create something new. And you see, when we are feeling really sad, when you are not feeling our best, our ability to create is normally blocked. And music or painting or things like that are things that will help you to unblock that ability to create. You see, once you are depressed, you cannot easily create things for work. You cannot easily create things under pressure. If you're a writer and you're depressed, it doesn't matter how many contracts, how many books you sign on a contract with some publisher that you're going to be producing. If you don't feel like to write, you can't write, and even less under pressure. If you're a painter, a musician, it's the same thing. But if you don't have any pressure, then producing something new, creating something. I have a client right now at this moment as I do these videos, and she came to me for depression, anxiety, problems sleeping, and bruxism, which is a tendency to create friction in the jaw and between the teeth. And I'm helping him with that. But another thing that is great that she's doing is she's doing a kind of course on sculpture. So she's learning to sculpt things, and that is really good. That is something that will definitely help her, and it will help you as well. Any kind of artistic activity that you can do, but particularly music, may be really useful to you. So explore the possibility of learning to play an instrument and listen to music that you like and you enjoy. Next, concentrate in what is right with you. Now think about that. I'm telling you that because when we are not feeling our best, we will have a very strong tendency to concentrate on what is wrong with us all the time. It's as if we feel that the world is telling us, reminding us in every possible way everything that is wrong with us, and we don't feel like to get up from bed, we don't feel like to study, we don't feel like to deal with other people, we don't feel like to be in a relationship, we don't feel like to do anything almost, okay? But there are still some things that are okay in your life, and there are still some things that are right with you and about you. So my point is, remind yourself of this, write them down. There are things that are going fine with you and about you, and it can be the simplest of things. I'll give you some examples. Even when you're down, when you're depressed, if you're watching this video, you are breathing. You are breathing. You have the ability to breathe. Some people have problems in their lungs. They can't even breathe properly. most of the ones watching this video, this material today, you are breathing automatically without problem. That is already something that is going very, very well with you, and we don't even appreciate it, we don't notice it. It can be simple things like sleeping at night. You can't sleep. A lot of people cannot sleep at night. I have plenty of clients that come to me for insomnia. They just can't sleep. If you can sleep, you're in a better position than them already. You can see. If you are watching this video, you can see, you can interact with the world through your eyes. That is amazing, that is great. Animals, they say many animals can see only in one color. Some animals can see shades of gray. We can see three-dimensionally, we can see colors, we can see depth. That is amazing in itself, and if you're watching this video, you have this ability to see. At least this little thing is okay with you. So remember that most probably there are a lot of little things that are still okay in your life, and concentrate on those ones. For a moment, come out of the mentality of the way of thinking that everything is wrong with you. And for a moment, give yourself permission to appreciate the things that are right in your life. And remember, never give up. It's not over until it's over. And that takes me to the next part, which is some depression quotes that I want to give you, that I have read in my life and that have been particularly nice or interesting. So I kept them and I'm sharing them with you today. And I'm going to read one of them for you. And this one says, "A pearl is a beautiful thing that is produced by an injured life. It is the tear that results from the injury of the oyster. The treasure of our being in this world is also produced by an injured life. If we had not been wounded, if we had not been injured, then we will not produce the pearl." So it's a very nice one. Feel free to go back and make me say it again, because this is a video you can make me say it 10,000 times if you want, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. But it's a really nice quote and it can help you. Now another one, some more depression quotes, just a few that may help you or may give you some perspective. These ones are very short, and one of them says, "Stars can't shine without darkness." And it's an interesting reminder that there's contrast in everything in life. And I remember my father saying about depression when I was a child and I wasn't a professional in these things, I didn't know so much, but I remember him saying, I don't know if this was just something that he learned or he read in a book, but he said, if you feel very, very down, that means that you also have the potential to feel extremely well. And I'm not sure if his logic made any sense, to tell you the truth, but it sounds really nice. So allow yourself for a moment to set logic aside and remember that the lowest you feel is also, it may mean that you have the capacity, the ability to feel very, very high, to feel extreme pleasure and happiness in your life. Another quote. This one says, "Life is like a mirror. If you smile, it smiles back to you." And I really don't like corny quotes, and this one is one of them. But I still think that we all have to have the ability to laugh at ourselves and laugh at the world, and even things that may seem too simple or too corny or too ridiculous may contain important truths within them. So this one says, "Life is like a mirror. If you smile, it smiles back to you." It's an interesting thought. It's nice. It makes a lot of sense also. And the last one that I want to leave you with is this one. Very short, just 4 words, and this one is from me. It doesn't mean that I invented these words, but to put them this way, to express once again, to remind you of a very popular concept that we all know, but we tend to forget. is this one. Live life. It is short.